Now I'm going to give you a hadith. Look at the geometry our Prophet ﷺ is drawing for us. Okay, but this man believes that there's only one heaven, and the end of the heaven is 14 billion years ago. This is the sphere we are all living in. There are many galaxies, trillions to the power of trillions galaxies, and we are in this one galaxy called the Milky Way. But this whole universe is one sphere. The Prophet ﷺ says, no, it's not one sphere. There are 7 spheres. One sphere is inside another sphere. And we are in the innermost sphere. Okay? And the Sahabas asked, Ya Rasulullah, how does it look like? And the Prophet ﷺ said, once you go through a sphere, you'll find out that it's a ring. It is as small as a ring within a desert. This is the wording of the Prophet ﷺ. Ring inside a desert. But once you're going to cross the second, it'll seem like a ring within a desert. And then once you're going to go to the third, same thing's going to happen. A ring within a desert. Why is this analogy relevant, important? Because the ring is the smallest circle that we can know. And the desert is an infinitely bigger area than that little ring. But that ring is a circular thing, right? So the Prophet ﷺ is telling us that there is a circular door. Okay? Now, play this video.
When I was a grad student at Berkeley, black holes were considered science fiction. It was considered like finding a unicorn. Now we've got it in the bag. We've actually photographed the silhouette, the shadow of a black hole. But that's just the beginning. You see, this black hole is spinning rapidly. And if you look at Einstein's equations and have a spinning black hole, they don't collapse to a dot. They collapse to a ring of neutrons, such that centrifugal force prevents it from collapsing. If you were to fall through the North Pole of the ring, you wind up mathematically on a parallel universe. And if you go a second time, you wind up on another parallel universe. And you keep on going through the ring. It's like going through an apartment building, hitting the elevator, each floor being another universe.
So, you tell me, instead of going into all of that, we went into petty little politics. Domestically disturbed Muslim girls and Muslim boys. Suffering from inferiority complex by listening to these kind of people thinking they're smarter than us, which of course they are now, no doubt about this. Because we threw it away, they picked it up. If only this guy knew that this same analogy and the same centripetal force is described by our Prophet ﷺ by telling us about the doorways to the next heaven. Brains like these would have decoded the motion of the black hole right away. Stephen Hawking from your city did that. That's why whatever comes out of the black hole is called Hawking energy, Hawking radiation. You need to understand why I'm trying to tell you to open this book. Yatlu alayhim ayat is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's the job.
The question is that no doubt Allah's power is also infinite. Then why did Allah specifically choose 7 as the number of universes to create?
7 is a very, very important number. The shorter answer is, have you not thought about how come everything is revolving around a single center? Have you thought about that, Hassan?
Yes.
So Allah, whenever He makes anything, it has a signature. There's always going to be a single center, and everything will be revolving around that single center. From the trees to any atoms to anything, to the big galaxies out there. Okay. So when you see the whole galaxies, you see the whole, as much as you can see in the observable cluster of the universe, you see that, trillions of galaxies are there. And those trillions of galaxies are centered in a whatever thing that they have in the center, we call it a black hole. All the galaxies with trillions and billions and gazillions of stars and planets are revolving around a single center, right? So once you understand that this is the design, you can easily deduce, and this is just a deduction, that this universe had 7 heavens, had to have an odd number, so that all of these heavens can somehow rotate around a single center. For that, you need to have 3 and 3 with the fourth in the middle, right? Now we understand that the geometry of the universe is so much so that so spectacular that all of the heavens are centralized around some core, and for that core to exist, you need a single center. And if it were 8 heavens, we would not been able to get a single center in, because it would have had to be in a non-galactical space or non-universal space. But no, it has to be in some universal space, and it is there, and which is why it's the fourth, or whatever the central number would be at that time. Because when we say fourth in 7, that's just unidimensional conversation. This universe is not a single dimension or it's a multi-dimensional geometry. So the 7 combines not as number 4 out of 7, because that is the middle of 7. It could be 7, and the 6 dimensions are revolving around it, and everything around in the heavens, in 7 heavens, would be part of that revolution around that center. So this is the short answer. You can see that significance of 7 through this angle, and you'll find out that I'm just thinking too small, because I'm a part of a planet where I am probably the smallest thing in that planet. I'm 16 millionth of a part of this planet. Okay, so 1 by 16 million. That's who I am in this planet. Okay, to the power of something. Not 16 million. 16 million to the power of something, right? So I'm that small. I mean, I can only deduce whatever my little brain can. When I'm going to see the whole universe, I can only run the numbers through a very abstract, angle. So Allah is telling you, don't have to be that abstract. I'm going to give you some direction. There's 7, okay, and everyone has certain planets, certain suns, stars. So you can see that if you can study enough from your own observable universe, you can see that the whole geometry will be visible to you. So now there are more galaxies that you can see, which they plot on the graphs, which are red dotted galaxies, which means that they have a black hole. And you can see that picture, you'll find out that 99.999% of all galaxies are centered with a black hole. Okay, so we understand that there's a single center phenomena, the signature. This is how the make is. We can see go to inside our own self, we can see the same phenomena, single center. Okay, and everything revolving around it. So the whole universe in these 7 heavens had to have an odd number where there's a single center, and all of these universes revolving around a single center. Hence 7. Hence the number 7. Hence you can see all of whatever is happening in Islam is numbered around an odd number. Okay.
So
Sure.
my question is that Allah mentions that when Qiyamah happens, the first samawat will be folded up. So that means the rest of the 6 heavens will remain intact.
Wallahu alam. Yeah, Surah Anbiya, ayat 104. Yeah.
So that means that whatever we do, we cannot escape to the second skies, because if we do that, then we would escape Qiyamah.
Well, there are different interpretations of that ayah, and it is given a cover by a hadith that everything will be destroyed by Allah. Okay. Now, there's a cover from a hadith. So there's different ways of interpreting that. But yeah, given your hypothesis, yeah, if we go to a different heaven, we won't see this whole phenomena coming about, technically speaking. Yeah, that would be job 1, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Save all humanity, like literally.
Uh, Sir, I've actually got some question. Do you know about Hawking radiation?
Yes, sir, I do.
Sir, I wanted to present it. I'm a university student, so I wanted to present it to a physics professor that uh, if we treat black holes as a tier in space and time, and maybe it's the way to access multi the multiple universes. Maybe that radiation that's coming out from there is from that those universes. So could you help me in that? Like I want to make a presentation over that. But I'm not. I do not have the complete information of how Islam interprets that whole thing.
How does Islam represent the Hawking radiation? People who do not know, please explain to them what all. Let me tell you what Hawking radiation would mean through this lens. Around the disk of the black hole, see, there is so much gravity that everything goes in, but they are still microparticles coming out.
Yeah.
And they're not just coming out from around the black hole. Actually, they're coming out from within the black hole as well.
Yes.
Those particles, even though there's so much gravity that even light cannot come out, but these particles are coming out. Those particles are called the Hawking radiation. So you tell me if something is coming out as micro as whatever it is. Now, and I'm not going to give you my idea about this because I don't want you to, start thinking on my. I mean, you need to keep your original whatever your thesis is. When I was reading, and when I read, I mean, I have to read this a lot because of whatever thing that I'm working on. You tend to think that science is contradicting its own philosophy here in so many ways.
Yeah.
So either it's got half of this right or all of it wrong. I mean, they don't have
That's
all
why
of
it's
it
called
right
a paradox. They cannot figure it out.
yeah, no, I know. I mean, that's why the word paradox. I know. But okay, let me tell you something. The fastest thing in the universe is what?
Light.
No, it's not, right? We now know it's not.
Yeah, it's
The
not.
fastest thing was supposed to be, the speed at which the universe is expanding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's way faster than light. But now we know that quantum after knowing quantum entanglement, we know that light is too slow for this sort of phenomena to happen, right? But my question was simple, and I'm going to go back to your Hawking radiation thesis so that you would know how to look at it from a different angle from Islam. That if cosmic microwave radiation background is the rim of the universe, okay, then everything should expand from within the rim, not the rim itself, because for the rim to expand, the rim has to be in a totally different space, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that means even science should call this universe within a universe.
Yeah.
For this universe to expand itself into, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll give you a hadith so you'll understand this perspective of black hole, Hawking radiation. And the Prophet said that this heaven, our heaven, the first heaven, compared to the second heaven, is like a ring placed inside a desert. A ring. Okay, make sure you understand the choice of the Prophet's words. Ring. And that second heaven is a ring in a desert, with desert being the third heaven. It's an analogy so that we can understand how enormous the next heaven is, right? But the ring, it's not a space, it's not a grain of sand in the desert. No. That would be an appropriate analogy if it were an analogy only about the size, right? A grain in a desert. But Prophet said, no, it's not a grain in a desert, it's a ring, the ring that we wear, right? Ring in a desert. And the third heaven is a ring in the desert, and the fourth, and so on and so forth. And the seventh is the desert for the ring, which is the sixth heaven. And the seventh heaven is a ring in front of the Arsh of Allah. Okay? So you see the geometry and the symmetry and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Now, when you look at the black hole, you can see that ring in some way, shape, or form. And since there's so many black holes, you can see that these could be a doorways, and when you come out of that doorway, it would show you how enormous that next heaven is, and how would this heaven look like in the second heaven. It would look like a ring, right? So in other words, this universe itself, Hassan, that we're living in, this could be a black hole.
Mhm. That's quite interesting because, general
According to the hadith,
relativity.
it is, right?
Yeah, because according to general relativity, when you approach the center of the black hole, which is a singularity, time itself ends.
Yeah.
So maybe that's how Qiyamah will come. We approach the singularity and time ends.
Yeah, it could be, but I meant within the black hole, not after you pass through it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Allah in the Quran says, يَوْمَ تَبَدَّلُ الْأَرْضَ غَيْرُ الْأَرْضِ. That day I will change this whole terrestrial definition and give a totally different type of planetary definitions to whatever terrestrial plane is going to happen. So it's not going to be in this planet, right? It's going to be, even if it is going to happen, this planet is going to be totally different dimension. يَوْمَ تَبَدَّلُ الْأَرْضَ غَيْرُ الْأَرْضِ. And change this earth from a totally different earth on that day. So we are going to be buried here, obviously we are buried here, and we're going to wake up from here. So why is this a different earth? Well, it's going to be in a totally different matrix, different dimension, different rules, different laws. Okay.
Yeah.
So it could mean that, I mean, I could go on for days in this one.